Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to The Writer and the Fighter. Unfortunately, the writer isn't here. That's why I'm filling in for Chris Mannix. My name is Todd Grisham, but the fighter is here. It's Sergio Mora, who we'll hear from in just a second. We got a pretty exciting show. I mean, unlike Chris Mannix's past shows, this was going to be exciting. I took it upon myself to make sure we had a great interview guest. In fact, we got two. We're going to hear from the number one ranked heavyweight in the world, maybe the best in the world, not named Alexander Usyk. That is Joseph Parker, who tells us what he's doing to try and secure the bag and fight for the undisputed heavyweight title. And he also shares a story about how Tyson Fury personally wrote him a check for $200,000 out of his own bank account. And later in the program, we'll talk to Emiliano Vargas, who's coming off a sensational first minute knockout, which propels him to a big fight. And if he wins the next one, you got to believe he could be in title contention at the tender age of 21 years old. And he names names. He tells us exactly who he wants to fight next, and you might be surprised by the name he drops on us. But right now, we welcome in the former junior middleweight champion of the world, the man they call the Latin Snake. It is Sergio Mora. Sergio, first things first. This podcast, I love watching it on DAZN. I love what you guys have to say. I always thought it was a well-oiled machine. But this whole setup this week has been a complete and utter catastrophe. There's no camera work. No one knows how to get the guests. They don't know what time we're supposed to interview. We're taping this now in a hotel. We taped interviews from our houses. And the excuses are, well, Chris Mannix takes care of that. Chris Mannix does that. He's like Mussolini of this show. He's a dictator. What the hell is going on with this show, Sergio?
Emphasize the first syllable of the dictator. That's exactly what he is. And no, I'm telling you right now, Chris Mannix, without him, we can't get this going. The production, I'm not technology savvy. I'm the type of guy that, you point in the right direction and I'm going to do my job. But you want me to orchestrate everything and production and editing and lighting and sound. Good luck, Chris Mannix.
We're like, hey, who's going to edit this? And one guy goes, I don't know, maybe this guy. It's like the Spider-Man pointing at everybody all over the place. And then you send me a text, you go, Todd, why don't you edit it? I'm like, bro, Sergio, that's not just something you just snap your fingers and have it done. Anyway, we got the motor running right now, and we were speaking of the motor. We're coming from the Motor City last week. Clarissa Shields with her performance against Lonnie Daniels. Before we dive into that, how about the city of Detroit? We always have a great time there.
Great city, man. I think Salida Promotions did a great job with Clarissa Shields, setting up the venue for her, not only in Detroit, but in Flint as well. So Michigan has some great fans, man. And I think the city's picking up, the restaurants, a lot to do. I'm a big fan of the Motor City.
As far as the fight itself, we got to talk about the start of the fight. Right when the fighters touch gloves and go to the corners, I usually have about 10 to 15 seconds to wax poetic to kind of set the scene for the fight. And I knew Rick Ross was going to walk Clarissa Shields down the ring for her ring walk, and he did an amazing job. The crowd was lit. And I said, Sergio, why don't I come up with some like Rick Ross lyrics to say right when they've touched gloves? But I'm not a hip-hop and R&B guy, so I kind of turned it over to you, and you were kind of trying to come up with some lyrics. So I went into ChatGPT. I said, what would be a good way to frame this up? That she's got a sold-out house, and she started from nothing. And it goes, hey, started from the bottom, now we're here. And I'm like, Sergio, what about that? You're like, perfect. So I rip into it, and all of a sudden social media destroys me saying, that's not Rick Ross, that's Drake, you stupid idiot. Why did you set me out to fail like that?
Well, because Rick Ross does have some songs with Drake, but he's a collaborator. And as far as the song that you were talking about, no, that's Drake. That was Drake.
Why didn't you tell me that before the show started?
Listen, Todd, you're a 50-year-old white Caucasian man. You shouldn't be quoting hip-hop lyrics, all right? So that's your fault.
Oh, my God. One of my top 5 most embarrassing on-air moments, and that's saying something because I've had some humdingers. I remember one time KSI was walking to the ring, and I had looked up what KSI meant, and it meant knowledge, strength, and integrity. But for some reason, I wrote it down as knowledge, truth, and integrity. I'm like, KSI stands for knowledge, truth, and integrity. And people are like, who is this idiot?
Oh man, well we're bound to mess up. We're not good. I'm not good with numbers. You're obviously not good with acronyms and initials. So let's keep it moving.
All right. Well, as far as Clarissa Shields, the fight, another victory, another dominating performance. And she announced afterwards that she's a free agent and says basically she's going to shop herself around. Here's the problem for Claressa Shields, who's saying she's getting north of $1 million a fight now. She can pack people in the stands in Michigan, certainly, but who is the opponent out there, Sergio? Who's the woman that a promoter like a Matchroom or a Queensberry or an MVP, who all of a sudden is basically like they're going to dominate women's boxing, who's that opponent that's really going to get that crossover appeal?
Well, she had the opponent. She beat her already, Savannah Marshall. She had to go across the pond and do that. But the higher you go in weight division, the less talent you have in women's boxing, and it's similar in men's boxing as well. When you're stuck in between cruiserweight and heavyweight and even bridgerweight nowadays, but that's the problem I think with Claressa Shields. That's the reason she has to go from 154 all the way to 177 plus to heavyweight to finally get competition, to finally get another challenge and win another title. I mean, she's won everything you can basically think of. I mean, from a two-time gold medalist to championships in 5 divisions, 3 times undisputed. I mean, what else do you want from Claressa Shields? I mean, those are GOAT statistics. That's a GOAT resume. It's not her fault that she doesn't have someone as great as her on the other side. So, I applaud her. She's making a lot of money, and she's a big star in Detroit. She was a big star in Flint. They should keep her over there. And I think Salida Promotions has done amazing job. Not a great job, an amazing job, a great job. And we'll see who she goes with next.
Well, she's been calling out Layla Ali, says she's got $15 million in escrow. Layla Ali, for her part, continues to talk trash about how she could beat Claressa Shields. How much interest do you have in that fight?
0.
That's not true.
No,
that is not true. Don't lie. If I told you right
Listen.
now Claressa Shields is going to fight Jane Doe, who we've never heard of, who's got an 11-2 record, or she's going to fight Layla Ali, which fight are you going to watch?
If Jane Doe had a world championship undefeated record, then I would rather watch that. If she was younger, if she was fresher, more active. Look, man,
Those women
all
don't
we have
exist,
is a name.
Sergio. Those
I
women do
understand
not
that,
exist.
but that's the plight that Claressa Shields in. So you got to understand that. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. But you can't dig up an old great. It'll be the same thing as Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. Whenever you have a great name and a great legacy, but you're not active and you're far past your prime and you haven't been in the ring for a long time and you got kids and other responsibilities, boxing's the last thing on your mind. Getting hit is the last thing on your mind. I do not want to watch that because it's going to be the same debacle we saw when Mike Tyson came back.
I disagree. I do think Claressa Shields will beat her pretty easily. But do you want to tell me right now that if Layla Ali came out of retirement, she couldn't beat Lonnie Daniels, which was Claressa Shields' last opponent? You don't think she could train and beat her?
Yeah, that's a good.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes, I think Ali would beat her.
That's the problem, and that's what's taken away from the greatness of the GOAT is that just the competition has not been there. And hey, maybe MVP can come up with something. They've gone on a signing spree. They've now got Terry Harper, Ebony Bridges, Alicia Bumgarner, Amanda Serrano, Chantel Cameron, Savannah Marshall. They're signing women left and right. They're going to want Claressa Shields as well. Where's the end game for MVP? Do you think they can turn women's boxing into a big ticket item going forward?
I believe so. They got a chokehold on not only on that era of boxing, not only with the women, not only with the celebrities and the YouTube, but they really got their own market. They got their own demographic, and I think they broke through with women's boxing because for a long time, boxing wasn't really putting them on like that, especially on Madison Square Garden and on Netflix and putting on huge shows like this. So credit to Jake Paul there. I've given Jake Paul a lot of criticism, but what he's doing for women is incredible. How he's paying them is incredible. Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor. I mean, 3 fights. We got one of the all-time greatest trilogies in boxing, and we got to thank Jake Paul because of that as well. So yeah, man. I just think women's boxing is on a high trajectory. I think Jake Paul is barely starting out and he's doing good things, and I got to tip my hat off to him.
Yeah, well, we don't know where Claressa Shields is going to go next, who she's going to fight next. Kind of the same thing for Alexander Usyk, the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. He's mentioned several times, Sergio, that he wants to have just one more boxing match, just one more. So who's going to get the coveted brass ring, that one opportunity? We're going to hear from a man who thinks he should get it. That's Joseph Parker in just a few minutes. I think he should too. Who do you want to see Usyk fight in what could be his final boxing match?
I think Joseph Parker deserves it, but I don't think he gets it. And for the same reason that I'm interested in it, but I'm not elevating over it. I'm not like, wow, that's a great fight. I'll pay for it because Joseph Parker is what he is, man. He's a spoiler. He can compete with you. He can even beat you, but you never see real big knockouts outside the Bacoli fight. But with Parker, and Parker's a slick, upper body movement defensive guy that he's a spoiler. He was like me actually. He kind of similar to me in that career. And a lot of
Well,
people didn't want to watch me fight. So I would want to watch. I would want to watch Usyk against a young gun,
you want to
Moses
see him against
Itama.
Moses
And I
Itama.
know it might be a little bit too soon for Itama, but look, man, when Muhammad Ali fought Leon Spinks only had 8 fights, and he became the undisputed champion. Of course, Ali came back and beat him in the rematch, but he did something great, and forever we'll remember Leon Spinks winning a undisputed championship, 8 fights. I think Itama has the talent, has the following, and if he comes up short against Usyk the Great, it's like Canelo coming off short with Floyd Mayweather Jr. I mean, he learned off it and still became great. So I think Itama's the way to go.
Well, he's got Dillian White ahead of him August 16th, which you can see right here on DAZN. The one fight I don't want to see is Tyson Fury, the trilogy. I mean, you had 2 shots at it. I know he's going to say he won both of them. We were there. He didn't win both of them. I just, if Tyson Fury's going to come back, give us the AJ fight. If he goes out there and sparks AJ out, then maybe, if Usyk still wants to fight again. I'm over it, man. I think a lot of these trilogies just hold up boxing for so long. I mean, remember the Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder trilogy as well. I just think we need somebody in there. And if you give me the handicap odds, like which fighter has the best chance to beat Usyk, I think the odds makers probably say Joseph Parker just because of the tools he has. Who would you think would have the best shot to beat Usyk?
I agree with you with the trilogies because the familiarity, they stopped taking chances and they earned a lot of money. They know each other too well and they respect each other too well. I mean, look at what we saw with Katie Taylor and Manny Serrano. The trilogy was terrible. I mean, look at what we saw with Canelo and Golovkin in the trilogy. Terrible. And it goes down the line. Trilogies don't pan out like that. But I'm with you on this one. I don't think Fury Usyk pans out either. Now, what was your question again? Gotcha. Nobody. I just think Usyk's on. I think nobody beats him. Not this generation.
Well, that
Not this
parlays me
generation
into
of
my next.
boxing.
That parlays me. Sorry to cut you off. That parlays us into our next discussion because there's been a lot of talk about where Usyk ranks all time, and a lot of people just aren't giving him his flowers, which I find to be ridiculous. In fact, a bunch of our English friends keep throwing Lennox Lewis's name out there. Well, Lennox Lewis would be the guy. He couldn't be. I'm like, are you kidding me? Oliver McCall, Hasim Rockman in Lewis's career knocked him spark out, but Usyk can't beat him all of a sudden. I'm done with Lennox Lewis. Yes, he was great. Oh, he beat Mike Tyson, who was completely washed and a complete head case at that point in Memphis, Tennessee. Lennox Lewis was great, but he's not as great as Alexander Usyk, who I think would beat Lennox Lewis. Where would you rank Usyk all time? And I know you're going to say it's different eras, different whatever, but name me a heavyweight that Usyk could not beat.
Well, I'll name you three. I think Lennox Lewis is one of them. So I agree with my Brits across the pond. I think Lennox Lewis would have given Usyk fits because he fought tall. He fought behind the jab. He had a mean right hand. He was just a 1-2 puncher. He didn't try to do anything. No uppercuts, no body shots. Lennox Lewis was a gold medalist with that style. He became undisputed with that style. So that's what you need: responsibility, a jab, and a big right hand, and of course the height and size. Lewis brought all that. Larry Holmes, of course. I always say Larry Holmes would all-time great jab, maybe the greatest jab in boxing, and he fought tall. He had a mean right hand. He had experience, and of course, the greatest man. I think Ali's the greatest heavyweight of all time because he had the height, he had the speed, he had the reach, the jab, the footwork, the confidence, the chin. That's the biggest thing with Muhammad Ali. He can take a heavyweight punch.
Does,
So
does
yeah, I think
Tyson
Ali's the greatest.
does Tyson Fury fight tall?
Sorry.
Does Tyson Fury fight tall? You said Lennox Lewis fights tall, another guy that
Uh,
fights tall. He couldn't beat these guys that fight tall. Before Tyson Fury fought Usyk, there were a lot of people who were saying Tyson Fury may be the greatest heavyweight ever. He might be able to beat anyone
oh
all
no, I
time.
never said that.
I didn't say you said it. There were people that were saying it.
Not many over here would say that either.
But Usyk beat him twice. And listen, I agree that Lennox Lewis was great, but I mean, you can't just wipe those knockouts off. Oh, Oliver McCall was a bad night. Okay, well, Hasim Rahman was a bad night, and he revenged those losses. And let's not forget, Klitschko was hanging right there with him. That was a brutal war. He was probably winning that fight, or as close to winning that fight before it got stopped because of the eye injury, and Lennox Lewis opted to retire. I just think the revisionist history of Lennox Lewis is getting a little out of hand. Is he a top 10 heavyweight of all time? Probably. Is he a top 3? No way in hell. And I think Usyk probably beats him. If Hasim Rahman can knock him out and Oliver McCall can knock him out when he's not having a mental breakdown in the ring, I don't want to hear that he's going to beat Usyk. I just don't want to hear it. Usyk's never been in trouble. He's never been down, and he's been an undisputed heavyweight champion, an undisputed cruiserweight champion. He's never really been hurt, Sergio. I mean, let's give this guy what he's due, for God's sakes. He's still fighting. Let's celebrate him now instead of 20 years from now when we go, you know what? I bet this current guy couldn't beat Alexander Usyk.
Hey man, you hear me calling Usyk the Great? When I watch him fight, he's a heavyweight version of Lomachenko. I mean, this Ukrainian style is incredible, and they made it their own. So these guys have conquered boxing, and I've given them their flowers. But when you're talking about all-time greatest heavyweights, then you have to give flowers to the heavyweights that came before him. All right, and that's where you're being disrespectful and blasphemous to the greatest. No,
Ali
listen
beats
to me.
Ali beats Usyk.
Now listen to
Ali
me.
beats Usyk.
Now listen. Now he can beat certain. Like I could see him being Rocky Marciano. Rocky Marciano was like 5'11". I could see him beating Sonny Liston, heavy feet. I could see him beating Joe Frazier. He was like 5'10". So in that certain generations, I think Usyk dances circles around him, pot shots, maybe even stops him. But when you're talking about the big heavyweights, the 6 foot,
The guys that look like
plus,
the guys that look like Tyson Fury, that's who you're talking about, right?
Tyson Fury was great for a moment, but I think his personal life, his issues, his substance abuse, and all the issues that he had outside the ring caught up to him by the time that he fought Usyk. But when he was in his absolute prime and confident, no one could touch him. Before those Deontay Wilder trilogies too, because that took a lot off him. Then yes, I think Tyson Fury would have actually maybe even beat him at that point of his career.
All right, well, let's talk now to the man who thinks he can beat Alexander Usyk and hopes to fight him next. Here's my interview with Joseph Parker. And joining me now from the great country of New Zealand himself, it's Joseph Parker, who I believe, after beating the man who was the boogeyman in Bacoli, has become the boogeyman. No one seems to want to fight you, Joseph, unless you've got breaking news here. Why can't you get a fight right now?
That's honestly, that's the number one question. Why can I not get a fight at the moment? I've been calling for a fight. I've had one fight in 2004. I've had one this year, and I'm eager and I'm keen and I'm ready to fight. I just need someone to give me a fight.
Yeah. Well, of course, the fight you want, the fight everybody wants, is Alexander Usyk. And with all due respect to your good friend Tyson Fury, I personally believe you've got the best chance to beat Usyk. Do you see that the same way I do? Are you the most
I,
equipped to handle him?
yeah, listen, I do. I feel like I can offer a lot of things to give Usyk a great fight. I think Tyson has had 2 fights. Joshua's had 2 fights as well. Dubois too. Chisora one. So I think when you look at the landscape, he has taken care of all the UK fighters. He's taking care of all the UK fighters. So I think he needs a New Zealander, a Samoa New Zealander to come in there and give him a good test. And listen, he's seen it all. He is 3 times, unified undisputed champion. It's a great achievement. So give me the chance, and I'll go in there and I'll show something different.
Yeah, I think it was 7 years ago you were the WBO heavyweight champion. How much better are you now than you were then?
Listen, now I'm a way different fighter. I feel like now I'm a lot more mature. I understand what I'm doing. I actually enjoy it more, and I appreciate the position that I'm in. So the person or the fighter that I am now, I think when you look back, it's no real comparison. So I feel like I have a lot more to give and offer now.
Well, yeah, for sure. And Usyk has just become this larger-than-life fighter now. Before he fought Tyson Fury, as you know, there were a lot of people saying that, listen, Tyson Fury could probably, if not almost probably beat any heavyweight that's ever lived. And now that Usyk's beaten him back-to-back times, where do you think Usyk ranks all time amongst great heavyweights?
You'd have to put him right up there.
Yeah.
I know there's different eras. And if you take our era, for example, he is a great in what he's been able to achieve. And also just, with these fights that he's had and these rematches, it's like when he comes into these rematches, he gets better and better. I guess he takes time to study his opponents, and he shows, in this last fight, he showed a lot more, I reckon, aggression, a lot more power. He actually stood his ground more when he had the opportunity to. And he finished off with a great victory and KO.
So here's kind of the problem I see for you right now, Joseph, because Usyk's basically saying he wants to fight one more time. He doesn't seem too firm about it, but let's just assume that he does. He's probably want to get the most money he can possibly get.
Yeah.
Daniel Dubois, 90,000 people he could get for Tyson Fury. You could probably get that many in New Zealand, but you're not the biggest money fight for him right now. So it might take somebody like Turkey to kind of finance this thing and kind of pick you as his guy to beat Usyk. But recently, I'm sure you heard this, he wants Moses Itamwa to fight Usyk if he beats Dillian White. How did that sit with you when you heard that?
I think, listen, Moses is a talented fighter, but he has to wait his turn. His turn will come. His turn will come. He's very talented. I've had him in training. I've had him in sparring camp, and he's very, very good. And I know Turkey is the man to put like a big fight of this on and make it happen. But he has his favorites, and I guess the favorites that he has now is Moses Itamwa. Joshua's still a favorite. At the time before I fought Wilder, he was a favorite. So I think there's certain fighters that he does like, and that he does want to back and put on. But I would guess I'm not one of them.
Yeah, well, it just feels like it'd be one thing if Usyk said, I've got another year or two to fight, then maybe the push isn't on. But right now it seems like, man, one guy's going to get that shot of a lifetime. And I hope it's you, Joseph, but it may not be. A great consolation prize would be, at least for the hardcore boxing fans, Ajit Kabayel, man. This guy, he looks like you. I think he's the same height as you, the same weight as you. He kind of fights the same way you do. I saw in a recent interview, you guys were standing next to each other having a laugh. What would a fight with you and Ajit Kabayel look like?
Listen, a fight with Ajit Kabayel, like you said, right? He's also on the come up. He's had like these recent victories where it's really shown the boxing world and showing what he can actually do in the ring. Like stopping Zhang, and also the Cuban Flash, and his body work is sensational. So I said to him, if it does come time where we do have a fight, I'd love to test myself against Kabayel and see what he brings. And also, I think it'll be a fantastic fight. But at the moment, he wants to, he's trying to chase his belt, and I'm trying to chase mine. And if we can both get a belt and fight, unification in the future, that'll be an amazing fight.
Take me back to where it all started for you. I've read stories about your background, how you started boxing at the age of 3 years old. Your friends, as I mentioned, with Tyson Fury, he grew up in that gypsy culture where he said he was always fighting on the street. And the Samoan culture there in New Zealand, were you always fighting with people in your community on the street, or were you able to keep it limited to the gym?
I kept it limited to the gym. My dad, my parents were born in Samoa. My dad's name is Dempsey, named after Jack Dempsey, and introduced me to boxing, I reckon, at the age of 2 or 3. And ever since he got me into boxing, he said, "Son, I need you to keep the fighting in the ring." So he said to me, "Listen, stay off the streets. There's no street fights. There's no fighting in public. But if you do want to do boxing, you want to keep it in the ring." And I guess that showed, from a young age, he showed me discipline. Also showed me the right way of doing things. He had a lot of street fights, and I believe he had a great record on the streets. But I had a great upbringing.
Your name Jack Dempsey, you better be a pretty good fighter. Right?
Yeah, but I had a great upbringing, and I guess they taught me well from a young age.
So there's no machismo kind of like the gypsy machismo, or Sergio Mora, who's co-hosting this podcast with me. He said there's always that Mexican machismo where it was always like, I'm better than you. Oh, you're a fighter, and guys would challenge him at nightclubs or elsewhere. You're tiny. You're a small guy. I can beat the hell out of you and try and fight you. That didn't happen growing up.
No, not really. And I guess I didn't put myself in the position to be able to be stepped out or to be around those people who, I don't know, maybe drunk or, so yeah. I guess I kept it in the gym, and I'm happy I did, because street fights are a very different story and also very dangerous.
Yeah, of course. Well, I have seen you though. You do seem to have, I don't know if it's a temper, but you do have this switch. I've seen a couple of times where someone said the wrong thing to you or someone's asked you the wrong question where you get a very serious look on your face. Would you describe yourself as being an emotional, angry person at times?
I wouldn't say emotional angry, but I would say if someone says something wrong or something that can trigger something in me, then I guess everyone has a different side to them, and it's not so much in what I say, but it's just like you said, the look. The eyes change. You can sort of sense from the body change or the aggression in the face that something's not right.
Yeah. So what is it what do you take into the ring? Obviously, you're great with your feet, you're great with your speed. You have so many intangibles, but your heart and your mind. What do you think separates you from the pretender, so to speak?
You can listen. You can teach. Everyone can box. Like fighters will fight, but not all fighters have heart, and not all fighters will fight to the very end. You only have a select few who will take it all the way to the end. And I guess going into any fight now, I feel like I've been working on footwork. I've been working on speed. I've been working on feints. I've been working on a lot of things. And if I do get the opportunity with Usyk, I would love to show everything that I've been working on in the quiet, really, in the quiet, because I haven't had a fight in recent times. Only
Yeah,
February was
right.
the last fight. I need a
Yeah.
fight now.
You do. Let's take me back. I know you've had some highs and lows in your career. Obviously, winning the WBO title, beating Andy Ruiz was amazing. Right now, it seems like you're peaking again. But when was the time in your career would you call it your lowest point where maybe you thought, you know what, fighting may not be for me. Maybe I shouldn't do this anymore. Was there a point like that for you?
You know what? I've never thought to myself that fighting's not for me. I know I had the loss to Joe Joyce, and there are a few reasons why that happened. I guess Joyce was the better man on the day. Obviously, beat me up, but I was a bit sick, and then it was just questions really like, why am I not getting the results that I'm looking for, or
Yeah.
why am I not getting the results that I know I can get? What am I doing wrong? I'm leaving my family. I'm training overseas, sacrificing a lot, and I'm not getting these results. What do I need to do? What do I need to change? And what do I need to make better? And I guess
Yeah.
from a loss like that, and from going through a tough time, you do ask yourself, you ask a lot of questions, and you make change. You make positive change.
And was there a moment, obviously winning the heavyweight title had to be right up there, but maybe a moment that's under the radar where you kind of learned, wait a minute, not only am I a good boxer, I can be a great boxer. I can be a champion. Was there a moment that the light kind of switched in your brain?
Oh, what an oh, listen, now that you bring it up, not so much.
Really?
It was earlier on. I wouldn't even say in a professional, but when I was younger and as an amateur at 16, traveling around the world beating people up, that's the moment where I thought, you know what, I can really make something of this boxing career.
Hmm. Yeah, speaking of traveling around the
Young.
world, yeah, young. Some of your amateur partners, I believe, said you were a neat freak. Like everywhere you go, you have to have things a certain way. You fold your clothes a certain way. Everything has to be clean. And I'm like, wait a minute. If you're a boxer, you're in those dirty, grimy gyms. How do you work that out with someone who seems to be so clean all the time?
You know what? I was like I said, I was taught at a young age to be very clean, and I do like things a certain way. I like, you know, I like to keep my room clean. Even in the camp, I like to make sure that the house is vacuumed and the dishes are done, and I don't know, just a clean house is a welcoming house,
Nice.
and it puts me in a good mood. I see if I see mess everywhere, I'm just like, you know what, Ugh, let's get it clean.
Cleanliness is next to godliness. We say that here in the United States. I don't know if you heard that before.
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, hey, listen, we know how close you are to Tyson Fury. And when I get interviewed sometimes, I used to work at WWE, and people say, tell me a story about this guy. Tell me a crazy story about that guy. And the first stories that pop in my head, I can't tell because they're too crazy. Is there a Joseph Parker Tyson Fury story that you could share with us right now that just would kind of encapsulate your friendship and what the Gypsy King's all about?
Yeah, I say. Tyson was fighting Dillian White, and we had a 12-week camp, a long camp. And I was in England with my family. We flew to Dubai. We had a great time, and this is all during camp. And Tyson says to me, Joseph, I'm gonna make you the backup fighter, which means if Dillian White doesn't show up, you're gonna fight me. You're gonna fight me instead. And I said, why would you do that? And he said to me, Dillian White's gonna show up. It's the biggest payday of his life. He's fighting for the championship of the world, but I'm gonna get you paid 200 grand or whatever it was. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, for you to be training with me, I'm going to get you paid. I'm like, what? So like he always went out of his way to look after me. Then after the fight, I text Frank Warren. I said, Frank, here's the invoice for the backup fighter fee. And Frank said, sorry, there was no contract. And I said, oh, okay. Tyson, what should I do? Get rid of it, or should I proceed to send it on to Frank? He said, don't worry, I'll take care of it. A deal's a deal.
Wow, 200 grand.
Yeah, so he's looked after me in so many ways, not just the boxing, not just connecting me with Andy Lee and George Lockhart, but behind the scenes, giving me his glove sponsor, giving me his gym, giving me his house to use in one of the camps. Just very, very generous, and that's why I'm very grateful to Tyson what he's done for me.
All right, well, look, he's done a lot of stuff for you, but let me ask you this. Usyk says he has one fight left, and they come to you and they say, look, Joseph, the fight is yours, but Tyson also wants it. He'd like you to step aside. Are you stepping aside to let your buddy fight him in the trilogy, or are you saying, sorry, brother, I've got to do this myself?
I say sorry, man.
Yeah,
sorry,
you
bro.
got to.
Sorry, brother. This is my chance. Like, if you're gonna get given a chance to fight for the undisputed unified championship of the world, listen. This is when I'm selfish. This is my chance. This is what I want to do, and I want to fight for it.
I love it. Hey, and before you go, I know you said it to me, and I've heard you say it to other people. Come to New Zealand. You love it there. In fact, I'll be your personal tour guide. So here's your chance. Here's your chance for the Chamber of Commerce of New Zealand. If someone came to visit you, let's just say I come to visit you in New Zealand, what would we do all day? Where would you take me, and what would we do?
Listen, I'll take you fishing. I'll take you bungee jumping, skydiving. I'll take you up to a place called Eagle's Nest where you see all the nice, beautiful beaches. Take you. Listen, we've got all the delicious food that you want, all here, and then I'll show you how to eat a raw fish.
No. There's two things I thought you would say. We'd go to an All Blacks rugby game, and maybe
that's the just to top it off, an All Blacks rugby game.
Yes, and then we'd shave some sheep on the way home. What do you say?
Yeah, all of it. How many sheep can you shave?
Yeah, I don't know. You know better than me. I've never shaved a sheep.
We can do all that fun stuff.
I can't wait. One day I'm going to make it out there, I promise you. And hopefully you make it into the ring against Alexander Usyk. You've got my vote, although that means absolutely nothing. But hey, we're here to spread the love for you. We're going to get you out on DAZN and around social media and see if we can get a groundswell of support for Joseph Parker to become world heavyweight champion again if he can beat Alexander Usyk. Thanks for being on the program, my man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So there you have it, Sergio. What did you think about that interview with Joseph Parker?
Hey, listen, man, I've been a Joseph Parker fan for a long time, man. We have a lot of similarities. People don't want to fight us because of our style. You know, we're defensive. We could take a good shot. We come forward. We're willing to take the biggest challenges. That's the Samoan snake, man. Big fan of Parker, and I understand his frustrations, man. But still, he needs to keep chugging along because he deserves a big shot.
All right, well, let's move on. In a minute, we're going to hear from Emiliano Vargas, who's coming off that sensational performance at the theater at Madison Square Garden in what was Top Rank's final show on ESPN last weekend. But I know you wanted to address the current situation or the current rumors surrounding Gervonta Tank Davis. There was a rumor he'd retired. Now he's not retired. We haven't heard anything really from him. Where is he right now in his career, and what do you think he does next?
I think he's content in his career and what he's accomplished. Personally, he's made a lot of money, and you know, from the lifestyle that he came from to the incredible amount of wealth that he's already accrued, and the fact that he's still undefeated, he won in life. He won in life, man. So on the outside looking in, we can criticize him, we can point at him, say he never fought the best of the best. He never was a legitimate champion. He only fought Jose Pedraza. That was back in 2017. His biggest fight was against Ryan Garcia, who never won a world title. He lost his last fight against Lamont Roach. These are all, you know, the criticisms. But let's talk about the good about this kid, man. I mean, he should have probably been dead or in jail the way he grew up, you know, and he was able to gain this much success, become a father, and yes, he has his issues outside the ring, man. But who doesn't have issues, man? We're in a sport where we're fighters, man, and we don't have the education, we don't have the backing, we don't have people looking out for us. So I feel for the kid, and more and more you're hearing about mental issues and personal issues and juggling life, and man, it's hard. So I'm not gonna be one to throw stones, Todd Grisham, because you and I both know, because we get a lot of stones thrown our way, that it's hard, man. So I wish this kid luck, and I wish him health, and whatever decision he decides to make, I just hope that he sticks to it. But if he ends his career, He ain't a Hall of Famer. He's not going to be known as one of the greats. Great puncher, but he's not a. He could have been a great, and he just didn't have the hunger, the discipline, and he ultimately just he didn't have a lot of things in his corner. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, I think it'll go down as one of the great what might have been kind of careers, but it's not over yet. And you mentioned he lost his last fight. That was technically a draw, but I get where you're coming from. I'd love to see him back in there. There's so many tantalizing matchups for Tank Davis. I mean, they even flirted with maybe him fighting Jake Paul, which I don't want to see, but I would watch, of course. I just hope he comes back, and I hope he finds what he's searching for. And it's just a little strange to me that we don't hear much from him. He's the infamous guy who will send out a tweet and delete it like 5 minutes later. So I'd love to just hear from him himself instead of the people that surround him, and hopefully the people that are surrounding him are giving him good advice. All right, so from a fighter that might be exiting stage right to a man who's entering the prime of his career at the age of 21, let's talk now to Emiliano Vargas. And joining us from his crib in Las Vegas is El General himself, Emiliano Vargas, my man, coming off a 42-second first-round demolition job against, what's his name here, Alexander Espinosa. He was supposed to be your toughest test, but you erased him so quickly. What did that moment feel like, and how would you rank it amongst your quick knockouts of your career?
Well, at first I was a little disappointed just because of the fact, 9 weeks for 42 seconds. But God is a perfect plan maker. He's a perfect planner. And at the end of the day, I did my part. I cut the weight. It was the best I've ever prepared myself for a fight. And, as it should be, every test and every fight coming up to, this point and every fight after that is going to be a bigger test. So I just feel like I have to get better. I have to get better in every aspect. And, but definitely a blessing. There's a lot of love that came from it. It was the fastest knockout in Madison Square Garden history, the theater or where the Knicks play in the Garden in 146 years. So I'm very blessed, and I cemented my name for sure in the history books. So I'm very very grateful, and I can't wait to do it again.
Emiliano, you get a lot of knockouts in the first round, the second round. I mean, you get them out earlier. I mean, is that something that you guys work on in the gym, or is it something that just comes naturally behind the torque of your punches and the technique?
I just think definitely just being sharp, being sharper than my opponents, seeing the shots, and I'm blessed that I have power behind these punches, and definitely the work we do, the strength and conditioning, and the technique of the punch, and I just think that I'm favored by God. I think that I walk with His favor, and it's not me, it's Him. So, I think that's why you're seeing all these amazing performances because of Him, not me.
Well, I've been just as impressed as how you carry yourself outside of the ring. When Sergio was coming up, he was 21. He was a complete degenerate. You are so polite. You're so well spoken. You're in the gym all the
Yeah.
time. I know you've learned under your father's tutelage about kind of what to do and what not to do. But you seem to take a lot of pride in how you carry yourself. You dress like $1 million as well. Where does that come
I'm
from?
in the tank top right now. I'm chilling at home, but definitely when the occasion comes, we definitely suited and booted. I just believe that, if I want to be the world champion, I have to walk, talk, and act like the world champion, and also dress like the world champion. So I just think everything flows together, and um, I just I come from a great home. I got a mother and father that love me a lot. It doesn't matter what I do, they support me in it. And, my father tells me like this, though, be respectful to everybody until they disrespect you. And once they disrespect you, you disrespect them to the tenthfold. So I believe that 120%. And I know Sergio knows my dad, he, he,
Yeah.
he, he, uh, he definitely, I'm his son, so I definitely, if somebody disrespects me, I disrespect them to the tenfold.
No, man, but I got stories of your dad, and I owe a lot of success to your father opening doors for me. Your father whooping my ass, man. I remember when he won the world title off of I Corte, I was sparring with him in Big Bear, and he always tried to
Wow.
take my head off, right?
Wow.
And he would pay me extra, in the 4 or 5 rounds that he didn't get the best of me, he would pay me $100 just to get the best of me, and then he
Wow.
would get the best of me in the fifth round because he had that meanness. He had that meanness. He had speed. He would hurt me. He would but I was always coming back because it was that Mexican machismo that he brought to the table, and I wanted to show myself, my own. But your dad was special,
Wow.
and I think what you guys have is a little bit off the chip off the old block. Not only do you have quick hands, you and your brothers, you got power. I mean, that's just something you're born with. You can't teach it.
Right.
Technique, but the main thing you guys all have, and especially I see it in you, is meanness. You might not display it right now, but it's this meanness that you can't teach, and
Mm.
this killer instinct that's just a Vargas trait, man.
Agreed.
You guys are blessed with that, all three of you guys, but especially you and your brother Fernando, man. My question here is, from all three of you guys, which one do you think resembles uh, your dad more in style, fighting
Um,
style?
Style. I think all of us we got a little bit of him for sure. You got to remember my father. He had like 4 or 5 trainers. From Floyd Mayweather Senior to, Eduardo Garcia. So we, and especially myself and my father. He's still learning as a trainer. He's still learning as a father. He tells me all the time. So, I respect my dad a lot for allowing me to learn from other trainers and, not having ego involved and not thinking he knows it all when, he's a Hall of Famer and he can say he knows it all, but I just respect my dad a lot for that. And I feel like that's why I'm so comfortable and so versatile in the ring. That pullback was a Floyd pullback counter, so we've been working on a lot of things and I'm ready for the next step up in competition. I know I have something special and I know that I belong fighting the elite of the elite, and I know I'm an elite fighter.
Well, here's the problem you're facing, Emiliano, and I'm sure Sergio will agree with me, and I bet you do too. You're only 21 years old.
Agreed.
You're 15-0 with 13 knockouts. You'd never been past the sixth round. The biggest, I wouldn't say criticism of your father, but some people felt his career was muted a little bit because he took on too much too soon. But you're at a place right now where no one's challenging you. No one's taking you past the sixth round. You're going to have to step up in
Great.
competition like your dad did. But are you afraid, hey, there's a lot of pitfalls when you step up and you fight the elite of the 135, 140-pound class?
I'm not as scared of nobody but God. At the end of the day, every fighter bleeds the way I bleed, and they're a man just the way I am. So I fear nobody. And at the end of the day, I've sparred, the best of the best, and I've shown myself that I belong at that level. Not just that I belong, but I can dominate. So I just have this hunger to be the best fighter that I could be. I feel like a lot of people don't feel that I deserve to be where I am, and I have that chip on my shoulder. But at the end of the day, um, it's gonna show sooner or later. I'm a 21-year-old kid, and I know I have the world in the palm of my hands. All I have to do is just do it. So I truly believe we're 3, 4 fights away from a world title, and all these other fighters who are world champion are 27, 28, 30. They're old, and there's definitely a new era of boxing coming, and it's definitely Emiliano Fernando Vargas.
That's another thing that you chip off the old block. Your brother was one of the youngest junior champions as an amateur,
Father. Father.
U.S. Olympian. I'm sorry, your father, Olympian, and one of the youngest at junior middleweight. So
Legend.
you guys want to get there as fast as possible because you have the goods. Like Todd said, do you ever think about, like, no, let's just get some more
This
fights.
this
Try
is
to
this is the
build
thing,
build our name,
is that regardless, people are always gonna have something to say. Whether
right?
whether my father, look, he fought everybody too soon, and everybody say he should have waited. Or now they're saying, they're taking their time with me. They're doing, like, you can never please anybody. So at the
Right.
end of the day, as long as my family's good, as long as the roadmap with Top Rank is good, then I'm good. I've never denied not one contract. I told them step up every fight, and I want to go the rounds. I want to show the world who I am, and it's the way God wanted it to. It was 42 seconds. I trained 9 weeks for 42 seconds. So it's not my fault. I'm a contract killer. They send the contracts and I take them out. That's it.
All right, Emiliano, give me a name. Who's the guy out there that you think you can beat that will put you right where you need to be to challenge for a world title?
As a fighter, I believe I could beat anybody. But I'm really interested in the fight this weekend. Jojo Diaz and Prograis. Two great fighters. I think former world champions as well, and I think that'd be a great step up fight for me, the winner of that fight. So I'm all eyes this weekend and ready to see who's gonna win.
Hey, great product placement. We'll be calling that fight on DAZN. Let's get you to Windy City, put you in the front row, and let you stir up some commotion. What do you think?
Let's do it. I love commotion.
All right. Hey, before we let you go, what do you think? Is Top Rank going to come to DAZN? Is there a chance that we might be able to call some of your fights soon?
Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm looking forward to stepping in the ring again, and looking forward to this weekend, JoJo versus Bergray.
All right. Can't wait to see you back in the ring. El General, Emiliano Vargas, everybody. All right, Sergio, as I mentioned, we are in Chicago. Big fight weekend. Saturday night, Golden Boy presents Kenneth Sims versus Oscar Duarte in the main event. We touched briefly on Jojo Diaz versus Regis Prograis. Prograis a 10-1 favorite in that fight. You got to assume he's going to get past Jojo. But the main event, Duarte Sims, I don't know which way it's going to go. What do you think?
Man, I really want to call upset on this one. I really like Kenneth Sims Jr. because I love the fact that he's already been through the fire, man. He's come up short a couple of times, and I like the way he's looked in his last couple of fights. If he can get some early rounds and dig the body of Duarte, that's going to be the key, Todd. The body, man. I know I say it all the time, but when it comes to tough Mexicans, that's what you got to do. You can't just outbox them. A style like Duarte is going to corner you, and he's going to trap you and bang you away. But if you can rip inside and then go back outside on the outside in the second half of the fight, Sims is going to have a lot of success. But he's going to have to go through the fire, man. And Duarte, that's what he does. He doesn't have 1 or 2 or 3 gears. He has 5, 6 gears, and he doesn't stop coming. So it's going to be a great fight, great clash of styles. Chicago's in for a good one.
Yeah, of course, Oscar Duarte, the only man to have stopped Jojo Diaz. Ryan Garcia said Duarte hits harder than anyone else he's been in the ring with. Remember that fight where Garcia just was trying to find a way away from those punches, putting his leg up, turning his back. But Duarte's coming, and if he wins this fight, Sergio, I mean, you got to believe there's a mega fight for Duarte next.
You know, it would be similar to William Zepeda getting a big fight. So yeah, I think with a big performance. So see if he just has if he has troubles with a guy like Jojo, I'm sorry, with Sims, then that's going to be different. He has to get a knockout. If he looks spectacular, then yeah, the world is his oyster. But he has to look good first. And with a style like that, chances are he does look good.
All right, well, you look terrible on this stream, I'll tell you that, as we say
It
goodbye.
sounds terrible too, man. It's a bad Wi-Fi.
Well, it's a bad show. Where the hell's Mannix? Get him back here. Have him. Why doesn't he just get a producer to do this show instead of being like the dictator that he is?
You know exactly why. He's a cheapskate. He doesn't want to spend money. Chris Mannix is a tightwad. That's why he's rich.
Indeed. Well, I hope he enjoyed his vacation. We'll see Chris on the broadcast tomorrow. For Sergio Mora, I'm Todd Grisham. Thanks for watching or listening to The Writer and the Fighter.